everyone. Today we're going to cover Chapter 7, which covers cognition, language, and intelligence. This Thursday in class, you'll be doing your own IQ test, which is online in Canvas. So make sure you know your login for that, as well as your discussion post. So make sure that you're in class on time to be able to complete that. I have to have a substitute come this Thursday due to McKenna having half days on Thursday and Friday. Her half days are consistent between an 8 o'clock drop off in the morning and a 10:30 pickup in the morning. So I don't even know what the point of going to school is. But anyways, I don't run the school. Let's go ahead and get started. So cognition. So when we talk about cognition, this refers to processing, acquiring, storing, retrieving, and using that information. So sensation, perception, and memory have a lot to do with our cognition. So think about, you're like, I think it's going to rain today. Well, why do you think it's going to rain today? You might see clouds in the sky. You might feel the humidity in the air. Your hair might be super duper frizzy. Or maybe you have a little bit of a misinformation effect with the news telling you that it has 60% chances it's going to rain, which normally we get some misinformation effect quite frequently about the weather because our weather here is so crazy. So we have different reasons as why we think it's going to rain, even though it might not even rain at all. So how do imagery and concepts help us think? So with our imagery, this is representations in the mind of a sensory experience. This is our visual, auditory, motor, olfactory, and tactile. So these images are helpful in learning and maintaining our motor skills. So this is the same brain areas are activated whether one is performing or mentally rehearsing a task at a time. So for your first question for your assignment that I want you to answer is going to be on page 213 in your textbook. And this is on a scale of 1 to 100, with 1 not very important and 100 very important. How vital is each of the following to your long-term happiness? So we have 1 factor is being involved in a stable romantic relationship. The second factor is having enough money to live comfortably. And the third factor is achieving your professional goals. Now let's look at these 3 issues from a different perspective. So imagine your life 10 years from now, assume that you're 100% happy or perfectly, totally happy at that point. How much would each of these 3 factors contribute to your sense that you were totally happy? Would a proportional estimate of the contribution of each factor such that add up to 100%? So for this, I want you to write down romance, money, professional goals, and which percentage of each 3 factors mean more to you, and make sure that those 3 percentages will equal 100%. So did you notice that the emphasis you place on each factor changed your thought about balancing them rather than you thought about individually? So that's because our thinking is distorted by a process called, or when we think about the factor of isolation from others that affect a decision. So when we think about things as a whole, it's easier to kind of have our processes of our brain rather than actually pinpointing it. So imagine you're hearing your favorite song or hearing your name across the room. You are in fact using your working memory to come up with the lyrics, beat, and the actual sound of the song or the person saying your name. So for this, if you hear kind of a tone and all of a sudden this whole song pops in your head and you hear it word for word like it's actually playing on the radio, this is your imagery settings for your memory. Or if you hear your name across the room because you're doing something bad when you're a kid and all of a sudden you hear this, Christy? And it's your mom's voice, clear as day, coming across the room. You're like, whoa, button it up. This is because our imagery is actually playing a key concept with our auditory. For your concepts, this is mental categories used to represent a class of group of objects instead of actually thinking of as individuals. So this helps us organize our thinking and actually helps us memorize things a little bit better. So, for example, a spotted 4-legged creature is coming at you with the slobber coming from its mouth and wagging a long, skinny tail. What would you classify this as? Normally, you would categorize this as a dog, although there are multiple different breeds of dogs, like this one is a Dalmatian. It's a spotted dog coming towards you. But we categorize that as one dog only. With your concepts, we have your prototypes. So this has embodied the most typical features of a concepts. Rather, your exemplars are personal, individual instances stored in memory. So your own personal experiences or knowledge may justify natural concepts a little bit differently. So for this, as an example, what comes to mind when you hear a bird? What type of bird? Birds are classified as one group. So your prototypes would say most likely to respond with an eagle or a dove, because this is your most typical features, or like a pigeon. Your exemplars would say from experience working in wildlife, turkey, penguins, or whatever crazy birds are out there that we don't really know off the top of our head, unless you have the education. So although both are correct answers, most wouldn't first come out and say the latter two just because they are familiarized with the concepts of basic concepts of the birds that flies in their state. Decision making. We make decisions on a daily basis throughout the day. Whether it is from what you're going to wear today to what you're going to eat or what are you going to drink or how are you going to say something to not affect someone else emotionally. So we make our decision process on a daily basis. So decision making, process of considering alternatives and choosing among them, which is kind of a given concept. So should I wear the black shirt or the pink shirt? What will color say about me? So if I wear all black, you might think, man, our teacher's emo. Or if I wear like bright stripes and colorful things with like bright neon scrunchies all in my hair, you might think I'm crazy and stuck in the 80s. So we think about this daily in order to kind of grasp the concepts. With real estate, I know how to judge what I wear according to my clientele. On Saturday, I had clientele in Desert Ridge, and they were very, very wealthy people and higher class. They drove like Porsches and wore stiletto heels all just because they wanted to walk around the mall, which that's not like me. So my decision making was, do I wear jean pants or do I wear my pencil skirt and heels? I chose the pencil skirt and heels because that was my decision-making process of who I was actually going to surround myself with that day. Your bounded rationality, so these are boundaries or limitations around a decision-making process. So we often use this in order to kind of get what we want sometimes. So say I am up for a promotion, and this has happened. So when I was at a psych ward, I was up for the promotion for assistant director. So I knew the CEO was kind of, looky-loos, and he liked tight skirts and hair up in a bun. So on my interview with him, I was able to read him, and I wore my pencil skirt and a nice blouse and my hair up in a bun. And then I made it past that interview. So my second interview was with a table full of 6 older females that really didn't like me because I was only 28 and got the assistant director position. So with them, I wore a very long, flowy dress. I had my hair down straight. I didn't show any skin besides my arm because I had cut off right here. So I was able to dress for the certain situation I was going into. Okay, your framing. So this is information is presented to you as an emphasis for either or a potential gain or a potential loss on an outcome. So if I do this, I will get this. If I go show 20,000 houses in one day, I might get $14,000 to $30,000 in 30 days after escrow. So if I work my butt off over here, I'll have a payday over here in order to support my family. So your intuition, this is like that gut feeling. You need to listen to your gut feelings because sometimes it's actually very, very correct. So this is rapidly formed judgments based on your guts or your instincts. So this can interfere with your logical thinking. I don't have a good feeling about this. If you don't have a good feeling about this, you might have a reasoning why you need to just back away from that situation. I walked into a house one day and I didn't have a really good feeling and I walked out. Well, I had the other agents that were all males come with me and there was actually people up in the attic doing drugs. So I had that gut feeling that I shouldn't go into that building by myself. So I didn't. So my instincts were telling me that I was going to have a boy with Reese. Obviously, she's a girl. And obviously, that instinct was wrong because I was basing it off of my imagery or different concepts, thinking, okay, well, I'm super, super sick with Reese. I'm having a horrible pregnancy. I have different kind of cravings than I did with McKenna, which is a girl. So this is obviously a boy. Boy, was I wrong. Problem solving. So thoughts or actions required to achieve a goal not readily attainable. So you have your analogy heuristics, which you can work backwards. Let's see. There's a nice little thing in the book for this. Yeah, okay. So your analogy is comparing a problem to others encountered in the past. So say you went out and wanted to work at a different job site, then you compare it with problems that you had encountered in the past in order to make it better in the future. So working backwards is starting with a desired goal and working backwards to the current condition. This can be with anything. This can be with your career. It could be with, if you want to be a doctor, what are you going to have to do working backwards in order to get there? Okay, how do the basic approaches and obstacles to problem solving differ? So thoughts and actions required to achieve a goal not readily attainable. So we're still going with your analogy. So means in analysis is the current position as compared with the desired goal. So current position is I'm 132 pounds and my end goal is I want to be 128. So I'm going to have to take a series of steps in order to get to that goal. I'm not going to have to eat my burritos, my pizza, all my yummy fattening foods that I love to death. I'm going to have to eliminate those. I'm going to have to work at the gym 3 to 4 times a week rather than binge watching Netflix. So means in analysis. For all my math people, you all know what this is, your algorithms. So this is step-by-step procedure that guarantees a solution to a problem every time. So if a person messes up the formula, it's more of a person-based, because with an algorithm, it's mathematical formulas that no matter what, you're going to get from point A to point B. This is guaranteed. So it's usually human error if it's messed up in the end. Okay, language. Language is not only a verbal skill. This is your body language, it's your gestures. We can read people in order from the sounds that they kind of make or written syllables that they do. So this can be with waving, smiling, laughing. If you're pissed off at somebody, maybe flipping them off. The peace symbol to have love and peace on a building. So it's arranged according to rules of the grammar. So if you receive a text message that's all uppercase and you're like, why are you yelling at me? Because even though they might not yell at you, they might just have their caps locked on. You think automatically that they're yelling at you because this is how you actually read it at that point. Or if you read an email that has exclamation, 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 and all of a sudden some big bold words here and there, you know usually that person is not very happy. Okay. 5 components of language. So this is your structure of language. So you have your phonemes, which is your smallest unit of sound in a spoken language, and your morphemes, which is your smallest unit of the meaning in a spoken language. I will post a video on this so it can help you explain it a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to end this one right here, and I'm going to go into measuring your cognitive abilities and your intelligence. So I'm going to end it, and you're going to have section 2 that you are going to have to watch. See you in a bit.